Picture this. You are 23 years old. You play football for your country. And tonight, in 1/10 of 1 second, one flick of your right boot, you will become the most hated man in England. Some fixtures are just football matches. This one has never been just a football match. This is England versus Argentina, 5 World Cup meetings, and almost a century of drama. This is the story of football's most theatrical rivalry. It began quietly. Chile, 1962, a group game on a modest little ground in Rancagua. England won 3-1, a penalty from Ron Flowers, a goal from Bobby Charlton. A footnote, it seemed. It would be the last quiet thing that ever happened between these two. 4 years later, Wembley, a World Cup quarter-final. And the day the rivalry was truly born, Argentina's captain was Antonio Ratin, tall, proud, the heartbeat of his team. 10 minutes before halftime, the German referee sent him off. Not for a tackle, for, as the referee put it, violence of the tongue. Ratin did not believe it, so he refused to leave. For 8 long minutes, the World Cup simply stopped. Ratin stood there, in the middle of Wembley, while officials pleaded and the crowd howled. When he finally went, he walked the long way, slowly, alone, across the most famous pitch on earth, and paused to sit on the red carpet reserved for the Queen. England won 1-0, a Geoff Hurst header. But it's what happened after that echoed for decades. England's manager Alf Ramsey physically stopped his players from swapping shirts and called the Argentinians animals. In Buenos Aires, they have their own name for that afternoon. They call it El Robo del Siglo, the theft of the century, 1 word, 1 walk. A rivalry was born, and then, in 1982, something happened that had nothing to do with football, and changed this fixture forever. Britain and Argentina went to war over the Falkland Islands. Young men died in the cold of the South Atlantic. 4 years later, the two nations were drawn together in a World Cup quarter-final. Both sets of players insisted it was only a game. Nobody believed them. Mexico City, June 1986. The Azteca, 114,000 people under a burning sun. Argentina in dark navy blue, England in white. And on the pitch, the best footballer alive, Diego Maradona. What he did in the space of 4 second-half minutes may never be equaled, because no one else has ever produced football's worst crime and football's greatest miracle in the same afternoon. Minute 51, a miscued clearance loops into the box. Maradona, 5'5", rises with the goalkeeper and punches the ball into the net with his left fist. The referee sees nothing. Argentina lead. Maradona would later smile and call it a little with the head of Maradona and a little with the hand of God. Minute 55, Maradona collects the ball inside his own half. 10 seconds, 60 yards. Past one man, 2, 3, 4, around the goalkeeper, and in. The goal of the century, scored by the same man who had just cheated against the same opponents in the same game. Gary Lineker pulled one back. It finished 2-1. England went home furious. Argentina went on to win the World Cup. And the rivalry now had a face. 12 years later, Saint-Étienne, a last 16 tie many still call the greatest World Cup knockout game ever played. 2 penalties inside 10 minutes, Batistuta for Argentina, Shearer for England. Then, in the 16th minute, an 18-year-old called Michael Owen took one touch, ran through the entire Argentine defense at full sprint, and finished into the top corner. A superstar, born on live television. Argentina leveled with a free kick conjured from a training ground in the final seconds of the half. 2-2, Bedlam. Then came the flick. 2 minutes into the second half, Diego Simeone clattered into David Beckham and stood over him. And Beckham, face down on the turf, flicked his boot at Simeone's calf. Barely a touch. Simeone fell like he'd been shot. Red card. 10-man England held on, through the rest of the 90, through extra time, through a perfectly good-headed goal ruled out. It went to penalties. And when David Batty's kick was saved, Argentina were through, 4-3. What happened next tells you everything about what this fixture does to people. Beckham flew home as public enemy number 1. One newspaper printed his face on a dartboard. An effigy of him was hanged outside a London pub. He was 23 years old. 4 years later, fate and the World Cup draw did something almost too perfect. England, Argentina, Sapporo, Japan, 2002. Argentina arrived among the favourites. England arrived with a captain named David Beckham. Just before half-time, Michael Owen, who else, was brought down in the box by Mauricio Pochettino. Penalty. And the whole world understood, at the same moment, who would take it. Beckham placed the ball on the spot. 4 years of poison pressed down on one strike of a football. He smashed it straight down the middle, no placement, no disguise, pure catharsis, and ran screaming toward the corner flag as the net rippled. England won 1-0. Argentina, mighty Argentina, were eliminated in the group stage. The boy they had hanged from a lamppost had knocked them out of the World Cup with one kick. 5 World Cup meetings, 3 wins for England, 2 for Argentina, and somehow every single one of them left a scar or a legend. A captain who wouldn't leave the pitch. A hand disguised as the head of God. The greatest goal ever scored 4 minutes after the most infamous. A teenager's effigy on a lamppost, and a penalty that healed a nation. That is what happens when England play Argentina. Nobody ever remembers the score for long. They remember the story, and the next time these two walk out of the tunnel together, whenever it comes, whatever the stage, somewhere in the stadium, history will already be holding its breath. If stories like this are why you love football, subscribe. We tell them every single day.